Huge NBA playoff card this Saturday. 10 straight hours of games from 1 o'clock Eastern all the way through about 11 o'clock at night, Saturday evening. I'm going to break down all four of these games for you in full detail here in this video and let you know how to play them. We're looking at the Cavaliers Magic, looking at the Thunder Pelicans, Celtics Heat, and that Nuggets Lakers series to finish it off. All four games deep dive. I'm going to let you know how I think the side or totals play out. Also, some player props where I see value. You get it for free here on this video with full analysis coming up in just a moment. Hi, this is Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com, back here on WagerTalk TV with your Saturday, April the 27th preview. I'm doing this each and every day and night of the NBA playoffs. Every single game analyzed for the next 2 months in detail. If you're finding these videos useful, quick thumbs up, like is appreciated, and please comment below. Let me know if you're finding them useful, and I will keep them coming. It's been a great NBA playoffs. In fact, heading into Friday night, perfect 9-0 start to the NBA playoffs. We also had cashed all three baseball plays, so a 12-0 hot streak heading into Friday night. Look, we're not going to win every night. We're not going to win every play. We all know that, but we are crushing it here over the past week, and it's not a surprise. I'm number one all-time in the history of WagerTalk.com, so you might want to check out my personal best bets as well, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. All right, let's look at your first game at 1 o'clock Eastern Saturday afternoon. Cleveland, Orlando. Look, it's been the running joke for me on every video that they're the redheaded stepchild series of the first round. They're on NBA TV every game, except for last Saturday when they got the 1 o'clock early game. Once again, all these first three games are on TNT, so it's a bit of a step up for them. But once again, the 1 o'clock Eastern spot. And to show what a redheaded stepchild they are, this is Game 4, and they're going to be playing Game 4 and finish Game 4 before the Pelicans, Thunder, and Heat and Celtics even play Game 3. So Game 4 is going to be in the books before the Heat and Celtics even play Game 3. That's just how the NBA rolls. They mix things up for TV, obviously. We get that. And Orlando, Cleveland, not a big market, high-profile series. And it's a pretty ugly offensive series as well. At least it was so until Game 3 the other night on Thursday when the Magic exploded as expected. You know, I talked about that perfect 12-0 run heading into Friday. Well, the Orlando Magic were a big part of that as I had Magic full game and also Magic first half. We had two strong bets cash. They had a 16-point lead at the half. They were up by over 40 in the second half. Never in doubt, an eventual 38-point win, 121-83. Now, keep in mind, in Game 1, I did have Cleveland as a best bet as well. That started the playoffs right last Saturday. Our first playoff best bet winner, the first of those 9 straight winners in the NBA playoffs, was on Cleveland in Game 1. So I've had a good feel for this series. We stayed off Game 2. You know, the bounce-back favorite Orlando, I wanted nothing to do with them on the road. And one of the reasons I did like Orlando in Game 3 at home is not only because they were down 0-2, but because they've been a much better home team this season. They're now 30-12 straight up at home versus 18-25 on the road. A huge home road dichotomy, and it's not a fluke. This is a young team, an up-and-coming team, an inexperienced playoff team. That was their first home playoff win, I believe, since 2011. Been over a decade. So yes, we might see a bit of regression, but then again, maybe they continue to play strong at home. I do think Cleveland's the better team, and even after that blowout loss by 38, they're still a bigger favorite to win this series than before it started. They were minus 200 when the series began, and now if you look at the adjusted price, Cleveland's around, depending where you look, about minus 370. They are the better team in this series, and I expect better effort from some of their star players. Mitchell had a huge regression in Game 3. Donovan Mitchell, after some big games 1 and 2 at home. He obviously cannot only score 13 points and go just 1 of 6 from 3. So I do think there's some upside with him if you're looking for some player props. As far as Orlando, Bachero has been fantastic. He had 31 points. He had over 20 in the first 2 games. I mentioned Franz Wagner. I thought he would step up more than just the 16. He had 18 in the first couple, but they still won without him having a huge game. And also, some of the minutes were limited. He only had 30 minutes. Carter, another starter, only had 24 and a half minutes. And Pacheco actually only had 29 and a half minutes. So the blowout result actually did limit some of those starters. But the one guy I want to talk about is Suggs. We all know Jalen Suggs. One of the very few player props I've missed. We've been doing really well with these free player props. Was Suggs in Game 2. I liked him over 12 and a half. He had an injury, though, and only ended up with 9, and he was way below his normal shooting percentage in that game. Well, he bounced back in a big way with 24 points in Game 3. So he is a guy that took a lot more threes, made a lot more threes. He was actually 3 for 5, but he was 9 for 11 from the field. Perfect 6 from 6 from 2-point range. He had 24 points. He might regress a bit, though, now, as this is going to be a guy that they're focused on. And after his total was 12 and a half, it's now up to 14 at some books. So maybe Suggs regresses. Even though we liked him back in Game 2 when he got injured, he did have a monster Game 3. Once again, that game's early at 1 o'clock Eastern. By the way, as far as the over-under, Orlando really struggled offensively on the road, shot just 32.5% and 36%, and they shot lights out the other night, 51%. It's another reason I lean Cleveland here, though, is I look for more defensive effort. And head coach Bernie Bickerstaff even said, we got to rebound better as well. They only had 5 offensive rebounds in the entire game, which is pretty bad considering they shot just 39%. They had plenty of missed shots to get offensive rebounds, and they still ended up with only 5. I look for them to crash the boards as well. So you might want to look at some Cleveland Cavalier player props over as far as rebounds go, because I think that will be a focus for them here in Game 4 Saturday afternoon. That's at 1 o'clock Eastern on TNT. All right, let's look at the next daytime game, and this is a Game 3. We go backwards to Game 3 in the Western Conference Finals. Western Conference, nowhere close, especially with Oklahoma City and New Orleans. New Orleans will not be in the Western Conference Finals. OKC is the 1 seed. They have a chance, but right now they're going to have to finish this series off against New Orleans, and they get by a tough 4-5 matchup, Clippers-Mavericks. The winner of that series will be a tough one for OKC, who's a very young team, very inexperienced team. They only have 3 players with experience coming in this year to the playoffs despite being a 1 seed. But like the Orlando Magic, keep in mind, Orlando's been the best point spread team the last couple seasons. Right before that, the 2 years before, OKC Thunder, the most profitable team in the NBA. So that is a reason I think Orlando has some upside, but it's also a reason why they struggled on the road in games 1 and 2. OKC struggled in game 1. They won that game. All 8 home teams won on Saturday and Sunday last week, but they barely won. That was the closest one. And New Orleans is a dangerous opponent. The problem is they're shorthanded without Zion Williamson still. They had the best road record in the league. They actually had a better road record this year than home record. So don't know how much true home court advantage there really is here for the Pelicans. But what they do have is that all down 0-2 situational edge. And we've seen it work so far over the years. And we've seen it work, as I mentioned the other night in that Orlando game. It worked extremely well. Magic blew them out in the first quarter, first half, full game. In this situation, I talked about this in the Laker-Nugget game the other night on Game 3. We had a rare situation in which the Lakers were a bigger favorite in the first half, actually a bigger favorite in the first quarter even, than they were in the full game. And boy, the odds makers, the betting market was spot on that. We'll talk about the Laker-Nugget game here in a moment for Game 4, but the Lakers, of course, led at the half and blew the game again. I could see a similar outcome here. In this game, the full game line right now has Oklahoma City as a 1-point favorite, yet New Orleans is a 1.5-point first half favorite. And if you look at the first quarter line, they're even a 1 to 1.5 point first quarter favorite. So the first quarter line is the same as the first half, and then they're a dog for the full game. So once again, the odds makers, the betting markets are telling you that New Orleans comes out fast, but they probably falter. I would agree with that. If you like the Pelicans, I would play them first half. If you like the Thunder, I would play them full game. The other thing you can do if you like the Thunder as well is wait for an in-game betting opportunity if they do get behind, which I think they will. So once again, the way I'm attacking this game would be Pelicans first half early on, first quarter, first half. And then if you like the Thunder, I would wait, play the full game, or wait for an in-game opportunity. What I'll personally probably be doing is waiting for a good in-game opportunity when they get down by a substantial margin, maybe 5-6 points. We start to limp in. What I mean by limp is straddle bets in, maybe a quarter unit, and then we can get them in the second half in a situation where they're trailing. I would come in with maybe a half unit because I do think OKC probably pulls away, finds a way to win. New Orleans, once again, a good team. They had the 6th best scoring margin in the league this year, despite being only an 8 seed, and they had the best road record in the league. Problem is Zion played in most of those games, and he is a loss. Now, I've talked about how their plus-minus numbers are pretty neutral without him, and going into this round, they were 8-5 without him. They're now 8-7 this season without him, but he's an important player, and I do think as the series goes on, the New Orleans Pelicans will start to wear down here. OKC, though, is a flawed opponent. We saw that in Game 1. I liked him in Game 2. I mentioned him, gave him to you free here in the video the other night on Wednesday in Game 2, and they blew him out by 32. So that's another reason why I do think New Orleans will come out fast. OKC might be a little complacent after that easy win. One guy that needs to step up is Brandon Ingram. He did have 18 points in Game 2 after just 12 in Game 1, but keep in mind, he has now scored 14 points or less going back to March. His last game in March before he got injured, he had 14 and 11. And since coming back so far, 5 games in April, he has scored 13 or less in 3 of those 5. So I'd be very careful with Ingram at 20.5. And side total somewhat correlated. New Orleans really has to slow the game down. I did have a strong best bet for my clients. Part of that perfect 9-0 playoff start was a strong best bet on the over Wednesday night. That was my official best bet for my personal clients. And we got there with Oklahoma City, obviously wanted to push pace. So I once again think Thunder over, Pelicans under, somewhat correlated. So you could make an argument also if you're playing the first half, maybe Pelicans in the under. Although a lot of times these teams down 0-2 do very well offensively in the first half. So I'd probably stay away from the first half. I would look either Pelicans full game under or Thunder full game over if you're looking for a two-team parlay. That's your daytime game once again. Mid-afternoon game, 3:30 Eastern on TNT. All right, two nighttime games. We got Celtics Heat and we have Nuggets Lakers. I'm going to get to both of those in a moment for you. First, I want to remind you a couple special offers going on at WagerTalk.com. In fact, one offer is only available in this video, and that's the rest of my number one ranked playoffs, my number one ranked NBA season, my number one ranked all-time in the history of WagerTalk NBA Units 1. The rest of the playoffs is $195, but a special promo code I'm giving you in these videos only gets it down $30 instantly. That's promo playoffs. Once again, playoffs. Promo code is playoffs. Go to my page. Many of you were asking in the comments the other night how to do this. Go to my page. It's on the right-hand side. You'll see the drop-down menus for each sport. You select basketball. You'll see the $195 playoff package. Select that, and then at checkout, where it says promo code, enter playoffs, the word playoffs, and you get instant $30 discount. You get it down to $165. I know many of you have sat back and watched winner after winner, perfect sweep after perfect sweep pass you by to start this first week of the playoffs. We've got a month and a half to go still. It's not too late. Get on board right now and save $30 instantly with promo code PLAYOFFS when you get the rest of the NBA. Or if you want my Red Hot Baseball along with the basketball, as I mentioned, we came into Friday night winning 12 straight baseball and basketball games since the start of the NBA playoffs. We're not going to win every play. We're not going to win every day. We see that. But over the course of the summer, I'm coming out ahead, and we have 97 days left until football starts. NFL preseason starts August 1st. How about getting the next 97 days and nights for just $5 a day? That offer's on my page this weekend only, and it's there right now. It gets you the rest of the playoffs, the rest of the NBA, the next month and a half, plus the next 3 months of baseball until August 1st for just $5 a day. That works out to about $2 a play. There is no promo code needed. Many of you were asking yesterday, where do I find the $5 summer special? That's on the main page. You don't have to go to the drop-down menu. Just scroll down my page. You will see my daily best bets, including my strong plays for Saturday. Also, my daily free plays. I post at least one free play a day. And then right below that, you'll see that package. It's the $5 a day summer special. No promo code needed. Check it out. Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. And you can get there quicker with shortcut WT.buzz/SM. All right, let's look at the two nighttime games. Game 3, Celtics and Heat. This is several hours after Game 4. Magic Cavs will be finished. I always find that humorous. Maybe it's just me. But this is an interesting matchup. You know, I told you on the video on Wednesday, I thought the Heat had a chance to cover. Didn't necessarily think they're going to win outright. But nothing shocks me in the NBA. Nothing shocks me with the Celtics. We've seen this now for a few seasons. They're the best team in the NBA. They're the best team again this year. They've been the best team for a few years. But they live and die by the three-point shot. And one thing I did point out the other night when analyzing Game 2 was that the Celtics were plus 30 from three-point range in Game 1, but they only won by 20. Miami had a 20-point edge in points in the paint in Game 1, 44-24. So then let's fast forward to Game 2. What happens? The Heat are the team that's plus 33 points from three-point range, and Boston is the team that's plus 20 from points in the paint, 46-26. It was almost a complete flip-flop of the two games as far as the box score. Once again, Heat lose plus 20. Game 2, Celtics lose plus 20 in the paint, the more reliable scoring method. Game 1, Celtics plus 30. They only win by 20. Game 2, the Heat plus 33 from three-point range, but they only win by 10, and that's a bad sign. Miami hit a franchise record amount of threes in that game the other night, 23 of them, and they still only won by 10 points. Not a good sign. They have poked the bear. The bear is awake, and I don't think Boston's going to lose another game in this series. The price is hefty, but for good reason at -9. I don't disagree with that. Celtics are pass for me. First half is 6. I do expect them to come out fast, although this is Game 3, first game back at home, so I prefer the full game more than the first half for a couple reasons. First of all, first half you're laying 6. Full game you're only laying 9. And yeah, the Heat might carry some momentum in, and I think they will get a spark from the crowd. I know they're not an 0-2 team, but as we see with the 0-2 teams, the inferior teams do come out well first quarter, first half. And Miami, although it's 1-1, is obviously the inferior team, and they probably still feel like they're down 0-2 because they might not win another game. So I like Boston full game a lot more than the first half. I would stay away from the first half options. In fact, if you like Miami, I think they got a better chance of keeping it close early than the other way around. But it's going to come down to three-point shooting again. As I say each and every day of the NCAA tournament, if you could tell me the three-point margins ahead of time, we'd hit 80-90% winners. We can't do it in this game, but Boston is the better three-point shooting team, and in a bounce-back spot, I'll take my chances with the best team in the NBA. Let's look at some of the player props here. What stood out to me in game two, Miami's big scores, of course. Tyler Hero had a huge game. Not only did he have 24 points, but he also led the team with 14 assists. And it's interesting because Jimmy Butler told him beforehand, you've got to be the spiritual leader now. I think Hero will probably be locked down a little bit more as far as scoring, but the assists might still be there. Another guy that's interesting is Palestra, head coach of the Heat, said that Caleb Martin is the X factor. And this is the guy that had 21 points, but he only had 2 rebounds in game number 2. And this is considering he had 4 points against the Celtics in game 1, 7 points against the Bulls in the play-in, and 5 points against the Sixers in the play-in. His total was 7.5. Now it's 9.5. It's almost 20% higher. It's actually over 20% higher after the 21 points. I look for a huge regression from Caleb Martin here in game 3. His under props are probably worth a look. All right, let's look at the final game on the board, and it's the one that could definitely be a sweep. In fact, this might be the first series over. In fact, it will probably be the first series over because it's 3-0, and Denver is favorite -3. Let's look at history. History doesn't always repeat itself, but it does often rhyme. Instead of saying it repeats, I like to say it rhymes. This series is really rhyming with last year's series. Keep in mind, last year these teams faced off in the Western Conference Finals. Denver swept them 4-0 on the way to the World Championship. But don't forget, the Lakers were competitive. They covered both games 1 and 2 in Denver. Even though the Nuggets won the first 2 games, LA covered them both, losing by just 6 and 5 points. Game 3, they were actually a 5.5-point favorite. They were trailing by 3 at the half, lost by 11. But then they didn't quit, though. Game 4, they were still a 3.5-point favorite, and they were up by 15 at halftime despite being down 0-3. But guess what happened, as we've seen so far this year? They blew the halftime lead, and they lost outright by 2. They got outscored by 17 in the second half. So where I'm going with this is, yes, Laker first half continues to work. It worked again the other night. In fact, the Lakers are 3-0 straight up in the first half in this series, but they've gone 0-3 straight up in the game and also in the second half. I do think Denver pulls away. If history repeats itself, or rhymes in this case, the Lakers probably fade in the second half. It was interesting the other night, I mentioned this earlier, the Lakers were a bigger favorite in the first quarter and first half in game 3 than they were in the overall game. And the odds makers and betting market was spot on with that, just like we're seeing in this Pelicans Thunder game this afternoon on Saturday. The Lakers were up by 4 at the half, and they ended up losing outright. This game on Saturday night, Lakers are a 1.5-point dog in the first half, 3.5-point dog in the game. So the odds makers really aren't making any adjustment. I know many of you have commented over the last couple games and said you've been playing Lakers first half, Nuggets to win the game, double result as high as 5-1. Kudos to you, man. We're getting some huge paydays. That is cash 3 straight. We'll see if it keeps working, but until I see otherwise, it's hard to feel the Lakers have anything left. And let's keep in mind, there's been 151 times in the NBA playoff history that his team is down 0-3. They have never come back to win. Teams with a 3-0 lead are 151-0 in the series. Now, sometimes they lose a few games. It even goes game 7. That's normally not the case. But the fact that the Lakers were up by 15 at the half last year and Denver still came back and won the series and swept them, hard to imagine they're going to play around with them here. It's a championship veteran team. The price is a little heavier. Last year they were a 3.5-point dog. Now they're a 3.5-point favorite. But still, the Nuggets probably the only way to look in this one. I just don't trust the Lakers, especially in the second half, as they have continued to falter. And it's not a surprise. LeBron is almost 40 years old. He is aging. And I know I got a lot of comments going. I loved it, by the way. We talked about the greatest of all time. I said I'd always been kind of maybe Wilt or Jordan, but I started to think maybe it is LeBron after watching that start of game 2. But then they blew the 20-point lead after the half. But keep in mind, this is not full throttle LeBron. And the fact you can make an argument he maybe is the greatest of all time is the fact he's still this good at 39.5. And by the way, don't get the personal reactions with LeBron mixed with the on-the-court reactions. I'm not a LeBron fan. He drives me crazy. I think he's a hypocrite, as is the NBA with all the China stuff, everything else. But on the court, I have to respect what he's done. By the way, my answer is Wilt, because he dominated more than anybody in their era. But Jordan, Kobe, LeBron, Wilt, it's hard to really say who the greatest is. But hey, if you missed that discussion the other night, I think that was the Thursday video, comment below. Let's get it going again here on Saturday. I love the comments, by the way. I do read all of them. I truly do read them and reply back. And like I said, some of you have been talking about Laker first half, Nuggets full game, double result, 5-1 payoffs. I love it. I really honestly believe we have the smartest and sharpest sports betting viewers here on WagerTalk TV. So let's learn and earn and win together. Comment below, include some analysis. What player props do you all like in these games? Speaking of player props, Anthony Davis, I think it was 30 points in game 1. He scored nothing in the fourth quarter. or no, game 2 rather, when they collapsed. They blew that 20-point lead the other night. Davis had 32 points. I think he had none in the fourth quarter. Maybe he had 2. It was 30 and 2. And then in game 3, I believe he was scoreless. Yes, that's what it was. It was 30 points, first 3 quarters, 2 points in the fourth quarter in game 2 when they had a lead and blew it. And then he was AWOL again the other night on Thursday as he had a pretty big game, 33 points, and I do not believe he scored in the fourth quarter. Now, granted, they were down, so he wasn't getting as many looks, but still, Anthony Davis, all-star maybe. Not a Hall of Famer yet. I need to see more in these big games. LeBron had 26, by the way. The two of them took 43 of the 90 shot attempts, scored 59 of the 105 points, and it's hard to see anybody else doing anything else. Hey, we got to talk about D'Angelo Russell. I've talked about these player props doing quite well that I've been giving you in these videos. Probably the easiest one we'll have all series was back in game 2. I thought Russell would bounce back. What was he? I think 1 for 9, 3-point shooting in game 1. Well, he had a monster outing in game 2. He hit 6 in the first half, went over the total points in the first half alone, and had a monster game. Well, he was 0 for 6 from 3-point range, 0 for 7 overall from the field. And after scoring 13 and 23, he had an 0 for. And keep in mind, he had 21 in the play-in game against the Pelicans. He had an 0 for, no points, staying under his 17.5. Now it's back down to 14.5, so huge adjustment. 15.5 for games 1 and 2, 17.5 for game 3, and now it's 14.5. I do like him to go over here. Win or lose, I think he bounces back. And we've talked about playing the zigzag, the contrarian aspect of player props. It cashed for us in game 2, and now going the other way again, I think it'll maybe cash for us here in game 4. So I'm back on the D'Angelo Russell player prop bandwagon. One of the reasons it works, when a guy doesn't score, the other team doesn't worry about him, so it kind of works for that reason as well. We saw that after a bad game 1, he had a big game 2. Bad game 3, hey, let's see if he has a good game 4. So I take a look once again at D'Angelo Russell props over, especially over 14.5 total points. As far as Denver, they're so balanced. They had 4 different players score 20 points or more in game 3 the other night. 4 of their 5 starters got there. Caldwell Pope was the only one that didn't. He only had 5 points, 2 for 7 shooting, only 1 for 5 from the 3-point range. Did not get to the free throw line. His total was 9.5. It was 10.5 the game before. He's had back-to-back subpar scoring games. Now his total is 9. Maybe Caldwell Pope over 9 could be worth a look if you're looking for someone to bounce back after a couple subprime games for Denver. All right, deep dive video here for Saturday. Not a lot of weekend content here on WagerTalk TV, but I try to keep it coming for you each and every day. In fact, I will keep it coming for you 7 days a week. I'm going to break down every playoff game every day for the next 2 months. If you're finding it useful, do me a couple quick favors. Thumbs up, like, and please comment below. Let me know if you're finding these videos useful, and I will keep them coming. Also, let me know what you're looking at. Which 4 games do you like the best? What's your favorite side or total? What's your favorite player prop for this Saturday? Include some analysis if you have time as well. Hey, let me know what you're doing this weekend. We got 10 straight hours of NBA, starting at 1 o'clock, finishing at 11 o'clock Eastern. I'd advise against sitting down and watching 10 straight hours of the NBA. I'm not going to be doing that. I'll be picking my spots. I DVR all the games. I watch them back, fast forward through the commercials, fast forward through the timeouts, take some notes. That's the way to watch these. That's what I do with the NCAA tournament. It's actually a great way to watch the basketball and still live life. Nice weather here, springtime. What are you doing this weekend? Comment below. Let me know your your weekend spring plans. You can let me know your summertime plans as well if you got something on the horizon. But what are you doing other than watching the NBA games? If you had to choose just one NBA game this Saturday or even this weekend overall, which one would be the must-watch for you? By the way, the Laker game is on ABC National TV. The other 3 on TNT this afternoon, early evening. Comment below. I read all the comments and I reply back. And don't forget, if you want my official best bets for Saturday, both baseball and basketball, they're available right now on my page, Steve Merril, WagerTalk.com. Since heading into Friday, when the playoffs began, we won 12 straight baseball and basketball best bets, a perfect 12-game winning streak. The most I've ever won in a row was 19 a few summers ago in baseball only, actually. This one was getting close. We're not going to win every play. We're not going to win every night. I get that. But when you take a true investment approach, you capitalize on these hot streaks, and you never miss a play because they're emailed to you instantly. I'm getting a lot of these NBA playoff games up a day or 2 beforehand, and the lines are moving against us. A couple of the plays this week moved a couple points after I released them. So it's so important to be a direct client so you never miss out. You get an email and a text message instantly, and you save up to 90% off the daily rate. In fact, the rest of the playoffs is about $4 a day, and if you use promo code PLAYOFFS, you get an additional $30 discount. Once again, the $195, get it down to $165 with promo PLAYOFFS when you use that at checkout. Or if you want baseball and basketball, get the rest of the summer till the preseason starts, at least till football starts August 1st. That's when the summer ends, right? When football starts August 1st. I think that's what the calendars say. That's the next 97 days of baseball and basketball, or basketball if you like that movie. just for about $5 a day, and there's no promo code needed. Once again, that's on my main page. You scroll down below, all the best bets for Saturday. You'll see the free Saturday free play. Don't miss those free plays every day on my page. And you'll see the additional promos down there. There's a rest of summer for $5 a day. And I also believe the 3-day get a 4th day is still active through this weekend. So if you want a smaller package to try it out, we have a 3-day get a 4th day free also on my page right now. Hey, thanks for watching. I'll be back with the Sunday 4 games for you here. Hit subscribe and hit the bell for instant alerts so you never miss these daily videos. I do free play baseball videos. I'm doing a daily NBA video every day during the playoffs. When you click subscribe and hit the bell, you get instant alerts so you never miss out. Follow me on Twitter and X at Steve Merril, 2 R's, 1 L, at Steve Merril on Twitter and X. And also post free plays throughout the week on Instagram, so follow me along with WagerTalk on IG. Stay tuned here to WagerTalk TV for some great content all weekend long. And don't forget, I'm on Last Call this Saturday. If you're watching this video early, it's on live at 11 a.m. Eastern, 11 to noon Eastern. But if you're catching this later in the day, it's archived 24/7 here on WagerTalk. I'll be breaking down all the NBA playoff games in depth like I did on this video, some different angles, some viewer questions, also looking at some baseball. So check out Last Call Saturday afternoons and check out this video each and every day. Thanks for watching. Enjoy the games. Best of luck, and I'll talk to you again soon right here on WagerTalk TV.